As far as is concerned, are there any carbon dioxide emissions in the air, pollution, and pollution particles in the air, so forth and so on?
Well, yes, there are, but we actually supersede the requirements. As an example for IFC and World Bank, in the areas we're currently building, the requirement is between 200 or 150 milligrams per cubic meter. We actually reduce below 50. Okay, but there's much more than that. We're carbon neutral, as Bert was just saying. But we're actually taking all of the residues that are either left in the field to rot, which creates methane, very harmful to the environment, global warming, or burnt because the poor farmers can't do anything else with it. They've got to get their next crop in. In fact, we were just talking earlier that we're collecting cane tops and leaves. Sugar farmers, where there's about 10 per hectare, today it costs them money to burn it. It actually costs 500 pesos for somebody to go around and burn it. And then they're making a lot more money by actually us collecting and selling it. So it's a very, very positive cycle.
And I think if I may also add that biomass energy plants do not really need interconnectivity between the islands. Each would be its own independent power generation.
Sure.
Standalone.
Yeah, standalone. Well, indeed, you know, our sizing for our power plants are either 17.5 or 35 megawatts. And as they are base load, they can go onto an island that requires that. The only thing is, just as most coal power plants or other power plants, we have to shut down once a year for boiler inspection, which is mandatory in the Philippines. But other than that, yes, absolutely right, which is perfect for an archipelago like the Philippines, yeah.
And can also the ADB sort of consider this?
Well, I've actually been trying to get into his pocket. He's got his wallet locked up. But yes, I know that the ADB is very supportive of renewable energy, and especially in the Philippines. Is that correct? You have your checkbook with you.
How long, one question he didn't ask, how long would it take to come up with a 13 to 15 megawatt biomass plant? From construction day one.
Day one for a 17.5 megawatt power plant is about 18 months. And for a 35 megawatt, it's 24 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Harry. Harry Tamato of Global News Network.
Good afternoon, everybody. I assume everybody in the room, at least here who attended the forum, are basically engineers or people, or technical people, except for the student, but she's also, you're doing your dissertation and you carry 2 hats. The question, I guess, would be the public, the inconvenienced public. There seems to be a very strong disconnect between the basically government administration, or holding the technical engineers, the consultants behind it, the bank, new power, sustainable energy sources, and what we call the politics of this democracy. The consuming public, based on the end of the forum after your presentation, leaves us with the very same questions when we walked in. Do we have enough electricity? And what's going to happen? It's a doomsday scenario. What's going to happen next year? If it's bad enough next year. Now, this strong disconnect does not serve the public, and it does not serve the industry. The people who are already rich and who are already professionals will go on, which is basically the people in this room. But the rest of the country, it's a doomsday scenario. Now, it seems you're all friends, but there's a strong disconnect. And that disconnect goes further into what we call the democracy. So, where exactly are we? And are we going to turn off the lights? It seems it's like that.
Who is going to answer? All 5 of them? From each perspective?
Let me start.
He starts.
Well, I'm speaking for NPC, of course. And we know that NPC is no longer having monopoly as far as generation is concerned. So what we are doing is just supporting really whatever we can support for DOE with respect to the objective of securing power supply.
You're correct, sir, but it doesn't help us. the fact that the PLO law has come into play, again, through regulation, politics, whatever, based on what you call Congress, coming up with all these new solutions, basically with technicians and engineers and power players that come into play, that does not put us in a better position. Today, we are feeling rotating brownouts. Tomorrow, we're going to feel exactly like Mindanao. The year after that, we're going to be running this plant because he's the only solution left.
That's
We, the government should fear us because we are the consumers. We are the Filipinos. It's our country. We have to protect it. And right now, there is a disconnect among all of you. I'm sorry. I don't mean it to be personal. The government, the technical people in the room, because you are the only ones that have the know-how. Correct? And the point is, today, here in Makati, right in the Central Business District, we have no power. If you're on the 15th floor, you stay up there and sweat, and you wait. Or if you have to go up, you just miss your meeting. Can you imagine the plants? Forget manufacturing.
about political economy.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It needs the banks, it needs the regulators. It does. It needs the national power people, the that are on behalf of government for the people. But between all of you, you guys don't want to talk. His presentation, it takes 10 years to make a decision. My God. And yet in private company, you make it very quickly because it's called profit. Here, the profit should be the people, the country, the consumer. Tayo muna. But first and foremost, we are last and we feel the brunt of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the engineers in the room